Hey, everybody, welcome to Healed Whole Called podcast. I'm Wendy Melrose, founder of Resilience Press, where we believe God redeems our stories and uses them to bring healing and purpose to others. This is where real conversations about healing, resilience, faith, and the calling that can come from life's hardest lessons. If you're joining us live, make sure you say hello in the comments and where you're watching from. Today, I'm honored to welcome Janet Krebs. Janet is a speaker, strategist, and four-time best-selling author who helps families and influencers lead with confidence, self-reliance, and heart. With a background in consulting, HR, and education, she brings both leadership, wisdom, and practical parenting insight to the work she does today. Her story also includes profound personal loss, including losing a baby just hours after her delivery. In chapter she now describes as becoming an Oprah-worthy story of healing, resilience, and hope. She also has spent 14 years as Commander Krebs and the space flight simulator, guiding more than 65,000 students through leadership experiences. But what she considers her greatest accomplishment is raising her two adult children, Benjamin and Elisa. Elisa, is that right?
Yep.
So, Janet, we're so glad to hear that you're here today. Can you share with the audience where you're from?
I'm the one that's happy to be here and live from Indianapolis, not a place where tons of people are living. So,
well, we're not too far away from each other. Right?
Cool.
Meeting more and more people from Indiana and the Midwest. Most often people think the great people live on the coast, but the treasure is in the heart of our country. What?
100%, 100%.
Well, I'd love for you to share with us about how your story includes such a difficult loss that became a part of your story of hope. How did our Creator meet you in that season?
Gee, Wendy, let's just start with the power punch, right? Like right out of the gate. Woo, let's just go for it. No, I love that. I'm just poking fun. And for listeners and viewers, it would be hard to be this old, 62, and not have a colorful past. We are all in some way, shape, or form the sum of our experiences and our stories. Sometimes I believe we don't see that those scaffolded all of the stories that lead up to us in middle age or wherever it is that we are contributed to where we are today. And I could just, like, if I said to you 5 pregnancies, 3 live births, and 2 living children, then you go, right? But we don't lead with those kinds of things. And so, like in the bio, like, thank you. Like, I always acknowledge my 2 kids because those are the ones that I got to raise. Mm-hmm. But so much of that is anchored in losing Jordan, who was somewhere in the middle of that. And the order doesn't matter. And I just encourage people to recognize the sanctity, the reverence of the whole process of childbearing, because coming home with empty arms is not the order in which things is supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. And so I had already had my son, Ben, and, when all you really want to do is crawl in a hole and die because you just came home with empty arms, like, having a 2.5-year-old is it's not what you signed up for. It's not what I signed up for. And it was that moment, I believe, that when I was like, oh, this kid still needs me. I better kind of pop out of this depression, whatever it was, to care for him. That was that. That could be the end of the story, mm-hmm. But it's not. Because, and this is more than you bargained for, but this is the Oprah-tastic part of it. And I use Oprah-tastic because at the time, everybody said, oh my gosh, you should call Oprah. You could get on the show. I didn't want to be on Oprah. However, it's a great, inspiring story. So hold on. You ready? We'll go Cliff Notes. Jordan dies. I'm adopted. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what physiologically, anatomically, was there something wrong? Maybe Ben is my miracle child. Maybe I'm only supposed to have Ben because Jordan died and I'm having all of these miscarriages. And what is going on? So I search for my biologicals.
Okay.
And I forget that I've done it until 6 months later. I get the call from a woman in the agency, and she says, I think I have found your birth grandmother. And lo and behold, it unfolds that I meet them. They become part of my life. It's all very interesting. That's Oprah-tastic. It gets better, Wendy. Dad, biological dad. Now, my mother and my father were divorced. My father died when I was very young. Mark, my biological father, moves here to Indiana because now he has a family.
No, okay.
He said that losing me was the dividing moment in his life. He never wanted to be in a relationship. It just kind of, he was a recluse. He was a very interesting man, brilliant, but reclusive. And he moved to Indiana, became a part of our lives, became demented. I became his caregiver and his advocate. Now, that would be also interesting in and of itself.
There's more.
There's more. Because what I realized, now since then I had Elisa, happy family, all of this. I know it sounds convoluted, but when Mark died, and we know that demented deaths, we lose them twice, once to the dementia and then once to the actual physical body. It was in that moment that I realized that Jordan, the baby that I had lost, had stepped aside so that Mark could be in my life, not for me to have a father, but he needed me.
Yeah.
He was the recluse. He would literally have died in Baltimore, Maryland, in his home because he was a recluse. Nobody knew that he was there.
Wow.
And I was like, that soul moved aside so I could care for Mark in his demented years. And then, of course, Jordan steps aside because I have this brilliant little girl who is sassy and slaying the world. And I really know in my heart, like when we be still and know that is the truth of how and why Jordan stepped aside for all of this brilliance to unfold.
That's such an interesting way, but to really look at it. And if you'd like to share, how long of a span did it take for you for that realization in real time? Because we know that healing takes years, realizations takes years. So how long was it between, obviously you find the grandmother, then you find your bio dad, and then you have a relationship with him, he goes demented, you care for him, he dies, and then you realize, wait a minute, that's where all of this was happened for you in order for you to be able to care for a man that would have not have been able to have that care. Was that decades or was it just a short amount of time?
That's a great question. And I'm embarrassed. I should know this. I'm not I'm a concept girl. I'm not a date girl. So that's just not how I process information, but I should know the answer to this. And somewhere in the journals, my collection of journals, which is, I've been journaling my whole life. I'm sure there is a journal entry that says, oh my gosh, I have figured out what and why this story makes sense in my life, but I don't know. Now, in all fairness, the man's only really been dead 10-ish years.
Oh, okay. And Jordan and Ben's how old?
I'm sorry, say it again.
And now?
Jordan would have been 31, 32.
Okay, so in theory, then it's only from when he passed away to when all of this happened was about a 20-year span ish.
Yeah. Oh, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
longer, actually. Yeah, longer.
But it just goes to show that we cannot rush the timing of the unveiling of why things happen. When people are currently in the state of real raw emotions of a deep personal loss of a child, of a parent, of a sibling, of a husband, of all the things, right? So often, and we were talking about this before the show, how linear culture in the United States is like, okay, this happened, put on your mask, keep going, don't wear a badge, don't tell anybody, don't talk about it, and then people who go through it disappear. And it's like, how can we shift that? And I know I've mentioned that on a couple lives, like, how do we shift US culture? I don't know what it's like on the rest of the planet, but I would assume they've got to do it better than us when it comes to having conversations about just real life.
And that's a yes. And interestingly, you talk about the linear culture. We are conditioned to think of death, the passing, as the end.
Mm.
And oftentimes it doesn't have to be. Like and in the throes, I am not demeaning loss. Like nobody, like, oh, I'm so, like, that's unrealistic. But when we come out of the throes of grief, and if we allow ourselves to think outside of bigger 30,000 foot view, maybe a decade later, just like, oh, there was something positive that came from this. And I'm not saying that sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And if you had asked me within 5 years, no, that's not fair, because I did the search for Jordan very early. You would never, there is no timeline for it. I guess that's where I need to end that. There is just no timeline for it. But I do encourage people to just remain open to the possibility that there is something wonderful and good that can come from loss. It's not the game ender. It's a game changer. But it's not the end of the road. Like, we survive, even when we don't understand, we survive. Mm-hmm. And if we truly can surrender to God's plan and stay open for the possibility of it, then it comes to us, I think.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say is a way that you helped yourself show up for Ben after Jordan's death, because you realize, like, okay, now I've got this toddler, and anyone who's ever lost a child and has another child, obviously they do all they can to show up. But is there any words of wisdom or guidance you can give to parents going through this that could help them navigate the path? Because you want to be there for the other children, but you are. It's not like they're not, but it's not easy. Is there anything, having been through it, is there any words? Like, I mean, I haven't gone through it. I've only lost a niece, right? So I don't say it like that. I've only lost a niece. It's not what I mean. But the level of, it's not the same, right?
Now, see, it's funny that the answer to that question, I remember implicitly, because I remember being on the step. What year it was, I don't exactly know, but it was pretty soon after. And I remember sitting on a step stool in my kitchen, because I'm really small. I'm a small human, so I need a step stool everywhere in my house just to survive. And I'm sitting on the step stool, and Ben is probably pushing 3-ish, 2.5, 3. And I'm sitting on the step stool, and I'm unraveling. And you know those sweet little voices. And so Ben comes in and he's like, Mommy, are you okay? And he gives me a hug. Because I'm down at his level on the little stepstone. And that was the moment where it was like, call it a God nod, smack, I don't care what you call it. That was like, girl, this child just reminded me by saying mommy that is my responsibility at the moment. Like, how could I be so audacious to make my needs more important than his? And that was when I think I realized the reverence, the privilege of being mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
now,
that's it. Yeah.
Lisa, did you find a healing that came with that? Not everyone gets the opportunity to have a live child after a death of one. But did you happen to find that to be healing for anyone who might be scared to have another child after a loss at birth?
Oh, talk about the don't have another child until like, you know. And I was that little, like an impetuous little 5-year-old. And I was just like, you're not going to tell me what to do. And they were right. Like, you know, I had at least one miscarriage after that. But when I was high risk, pregnant with Elisa, and it was horrible. And I'm in California. And so like, I just appointment after appointment after appointment.
Mm-hmm.
It was tenacity. It was like, no one's going to tell me that I can't. Like, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that moment where I delivered her, and like, I'm sorry, people, but like, I deliver really fast. Like, it's not a big deal. I don't know why God gave me the privilege of easy deliveries, but I have her. And like, we're walking to, you know, the recovery room, and they take Elisa, and I was like, oh no, I'm carrying the baby. They were like, you can't, it's hospital policy. And I said, nobody's going to take that child out of my hands while I'm in this hospital. And they were like, okay. So again, though, it was just taking nothing for granted, Wendy. It was like, okay, you gave me another chance. I have this beautiful little girl, 5 pregnancies. I get 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it. And that became, I think, like that understanding the privilege of parenthood with 2 little babies, 2 young kids, changed how I parented.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't eye roll. I didn't drag my butt through a tired day. It was just like, this is the greatest gift I've ever been given.
Well, and I love that. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about how that helped, you know, change the trajectory of your professional life, because you use that as ammunition, or at least, you know, strength, you know, for what you ended up doing. If you ended up being, now, were you Commander Krebs before that, after that?
Great question. I walked across the stage when I became a teacher, which was my second career. I walked across the stage with Ben in my arms, because he was the one that inspired me to become a teacher after having been, third. That was my third career. Third and last. So yeah, but it did change the trajectory. I knew that I just wanted to work to cultivate kids.
Mm-hmm. And how has that now? Are you still working? Or are you enjoying retirement? Tell us how God's leading you now.
Well, again, so if I can take another brief story, because how you know, Ben stood in the doorway right as he was graduating high school. So this is fast forward. I'm telling you, like, you got to stop interviewing people as old as me. We've got stories, girl. We've got stories. But this was the defining moment to the work that I've done today, because I was teaching and, in the simulator, fabulous experience. Ben stands in the doorway of my bedroom and he says, "Mom, I get it." I said, "What do you get?" He said, "I can see back all that you did as a mom. You just kept inching the rope out, giving me more independence, more independence, more independence." He was defining the transfer of responsibility. I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to thank you, because I'm going to leave for school in a month and I'm not afraid. I'm ready.
Oh, good job.
Oh, first of all, who articulates that as a teenager, right? And he's a boy. But I was just like, wow, you see that, Ben? He was like, oh, 100%. I can see that. So thank you so much. And I was like, wow. And then I realized that it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And life is a learning laboratory. And I had created it not only in the classroom, but at home and work.
That's awesome.
And that's how I dedicated my work to helping other parents create that in their homes, so that they could have that Ben moment too. Kids leave feeling confident. They feel confident in what they've done in their role as a parent, so that they know that when they set their kids off to live their lives as adults, they're ready.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so good. I always tell my kids, I'm like, hey, well, because they're 11 and 14, right?
Oh, I love that age.
Yeah. So the rope's so tight, but it's starting to loosen out, right? And I actually told them, I'm like, if you ask something, like my son wanted to go to a park and a couple miles away, but with friends, and I couldn't stay. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna work on you having a little independence. What do you do if you're approached by somebody with drugs, alcohol, or unsafety stuff? He goes, call you. I'm like, no, 911. But then also I go, but there's a park ranger over there, right? So just helping him understand his boundaries. He actually doesn't even want to go back again, because there was somebody who had said how they knew drug dealers around. I go, see, I told you that it's just a particular part of town, and it's not unknown for that to be a thing. But I also don't want him to live life afraid. I want him to live life aware. And, and as a parent, we want to protect them from all the things. We don't want anything bad to happen. And nobody should have anything bad happen to them. If the society would quit being turds. But the thing is we can teach our kids confidence and awareness and help them make their own decisions. Now, he used to say, I don't want to go back. I like my front yard. I'm like, cool, go out and do the front yard. You got to drop him off from school today. He goes, when I get back, I'm going to mow the lawn, okay? And I'm like, you are? Cool. Being responsible people. Now, if I could get them to clean and do the dishes and all that too, that'd be great. But they are still kids. So
that's another story, but you can. But that's another conversation.
We're getting there, and so, I think so often, we went from society where, okay, so you're 62, I'm 48. And we ended up living in a life where it was hands-off parenting in the 80s, tight controlled, parents. So we have a whole generation of whatever we've got right now, who was so protected that we created a group of people who don't know how to, I don't know if it's self-regulate, but the thing is they have a hard time with their emotions. Well, now we've got those of us who've got two groups. You got the helicopter parents, and you got the parents who are, letting them go. And the other one that's kind of like, hey, let's let them go and learn responsibility while they're still in our, not possession, but protection, right? And let it go over time. And I feel like you were an amazing example of what that looks like. It is so cool that he realized it, because so often we don't know that, and it's nice that he felt it gradual, and it wasn't like you kicked his butt out of the nest. Right. It's like, okay, now go fly. Flop.
Well, and I think that I believe that our job as parents is to actually, like the whole journey while they're with us, when you just articulated it, is this transfer of responsibility, right? And that's really the goal. If your goal is for them to leave and be resilient, responsible, independent adults that can live on their own, right? If that's your goal, right, then how do you get there?
Right.
Not by holding on tight, but by slowly, incrementally transferring responsibility, which is exactly what you just articulated. And so that's really the name of the game, if you recognize that you are raising adults.
Right.
And when Ben came up and hugged me in my moment of despair, it was just like, oh, there's that slap in the face. Oh, you're still here. This is my responsibility for you. And never losing sight of that, I think, was foundational to me, just not losing myself.
That is such a beautiful place to kind of put a pin in all the wonderful conversation that we've had. And if you would like to finish off with just a beautiful word of encouragement who might resonate with your story, and who could be going through something really terrible right now on whatever spectrum, whether it be death or hardship or whatever, what words would you have for them to bring them a little bit of encouragement to their life?
Another great question. Thank you for that. I've alluded to a couple of them, but I do believe that when we take ourselves out, like the ego part of ourselves, out of our lives and out of our stories, and we allow for the possibility of something else, when you're in the throes of grief or despair, that's not possible. But in a reflection, if you can come back to it and see something, that you could be grateful for in it, that's one thing. But I'm going to sneak in another, Wendy, because I think it's really important. And that is, you don't know other people's stories. And so our job is just to walk alongside people with how they present to us. And never assume.
Right.
Just meet people where they are, and ask for help. Like just be you, ask for help if you need it, and don't walk alone.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good one. Well, I appreciate you being such a great guest today. For everyone else listening, make sure you follow our pages, follow Janet. Janet, could you share with people how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to connect?
Actually, just remember the name. You can find me anywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, my website is janetkrebs.com. So, and I answer my own emails, by the way. So
so do I. I tried using the whole AI email thing. I hate it. It's like, I'm just going to be me. I don't get that many that I need some machine to do it for me. So
I like connecting with people. That's the, like, as an author and as a coach, my business is people. So I just do it myself.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you everyone for watching, and remember to follow us on Healed Whole Called and follow Janet. What? Talk to you guys later.
Bye for now.